Hey, good evening, and thank you for joining me on the program. My name is Austin Parfait Johnson, and this is Master Race Frankenstein Radio.
Look at the picture. See the skull, the part of bone removed. The Master Race Frankenstein radio controls the Brain Thoughts broadcasting radio, the Eyesight television, the Frankenstein earphone radio, the Threshold brainwash radio, the latest new skull reforming to contain all Frankenstein controls, even in thin skulls of white pedigree males. Visible Frankenstein controls, the synthetic nerve radio directional antenna loop. Make copies for yourself. There is no escape from this worst gangster police state.
All right, today, to begin with, we're going to be talking about traffic. You see, at the moment, as I am speaking, I'm in traffic. There's a Subaru in front of me. Hold on. That's a Toyota. Okay. Very, very close. You know, God can barely tell the difference himself. There goes a Scion. Now, that used to be a thing. It's not anymore. Now Scion is Toyota. The ones you see on the roads, relics, things of the past. Worthless. If you drive one, well, you ought to know better, all right? Get with the times, okay? Speaking of the times, alrighty, I was reading a newspaper yesterday, and I know that sounds like a setup, like a haha, like Austin, you're about to try to make it funny. No. I was at Mass, on Monday Mass, with my young child. That's my girlfriend's child, most beautiful little boy you could imagine. He's not mine, but the gentleman who she begot the boy with, he didn't really stick around, so she's handling it herself. She has 3, but hey, I love her to death. I love all the children. They're different, but hey, as far as I'm concerned, I'm their father, right? Because I've been with this woman for over a year now, right? And I've been feeding, right, and clothing these children, inoculating them, bathing them, changing their diapers. I've been pouring all my resources into these 3 boys. And right now the youngest is 2. The middle child is 6. And the oldest is 7. So it's Taekwon, Jamal, and for David. For David's the oldest. Jamal being the middle child, and Taekwon is the 2-year-old. But anyway, I don't remember how I got on the topic, but it moved me to even talk about it, Being a father is just the most beautiful thing. I love to play football with my boys, They can throw, man. They can throw. You've never seen anybody throw the way my boys do. Anyway, man, they're going to be MLB one day. They're going to be Major League MLB players. Yeah, I guess, I hope you don't mind me flatulate a bit, talk about how good my life is. Man, I go to work as all good men do, and I come home, and I like to be with my woman. Her name is Salah, so I come home, and I love my girl, Salah, and I spend time with my sons, Taekwon, Jamal, and for David. And we play video games. right now they're playing, I forget what it's called, whatever the new football game is. You know, they always like the new football games. Tried to get for David and Jamal the new Pokemon, because, you know, I'm that kind of guy, you know. When I was born in 91, you know, at Pokemon. Hey, it wasn't really his thing though. He prefers to play the the basketball and the football games on the PlayStation. And I do too, you know, and I do too. We could do that together, and, you know, and they make fun of me. It's so funny. It's such a funny thing, is they make fun of me because they're really good at it, you know, just like in real life. And I'm just not that good at it. You know, I like to, you know, maybe I shouldn't talk about this, but, you know, I like the green stuff, right? I generally stay, how can I put this without being explicit? Like high, like up, like very high. This is one of my favorite things to do with Salah. Oh, jeez, what an angel! What an angel! So I take the wax, the Wixie wax. You know, we put it in the, you know, the normal way that people do it. You use a pipe. Wow, I almost got into a car accident. Alright, so this will be the first and the last time I do this show while driving. Oh, my heart is pounding. I can't wait to get luck. So anyway, whip out the butane torch, light the torch, and it's not even 10 seconds before I forget where I live, you know. I forget the apartment. This little apartment. A little 2-bedroom apartment. The walls are dirty. Dishes. Anyway, look. So anyway, I guess, let's talk about what's in the news, you know? Now, the world is a terribly dangerous place these days. These days, you don't have to worry about communists as much. I mean, they're a concern still, of course, but you don't have to worry about a Chinaman subverting your government as much as you have to worry about, walking past them and contracting, a deadly virus. You can't even go near a Chinaman anymore, and it's really, really... to be honest, it bothers me very profoundly. On one hand, it's really upsetting that so many of these Chinamen are just dead. They have just fallen dead, and their families are dying, and these are just a great population of dying and dead people. Oh, Jesus Christ. But what's worse is, I really like them, What's worse is that I think the world's better with them, and especially with him when they come to America. Our society, look, I'm a proud Frenchman, okay? All right? I am Austin Parfait Johnson, okay? And I like to say things like, merci beaucoup, And then when I see somebody, I'll tell them, comment ça va? I'm a proud Frenchman. After, one of my pals finishes a bowl and, he's leaving, I say, bonne nuit. I'm a proud Frenchman, and I'm proud of everything that my people have done. Where you could barely anyone could hold a flame to my people. But I found that great as my people are, there's always room to improve, and the flavor that different colored people bring to the white canvas, it just makes it so beautiful and so much more pleasant in every conceivable way. And so I'm very sad about what's happening to the Chinaman. That's all I can say about that. If only the role was reversed between the Chinaman and the European. Because, I mean, my people have contracted it too. Not as much as the Chinaman. In a perfect world, God would have done things a little bit differently, I'm just saying. But anyway, yeah, the coronavirus, big problem. Unstoppable. So I guess there's nothing left to say about that. That's all that anybody knows at this point. So Turkey is a problem, Turkey just opened up their borders. The Turkish borders, open them up to immigrants. And all these immigrants, which, God bless them, Europe needs these people. They're flooding through Turkey and into Greece. And the Greeks, they don't know what to do, They spent all of their lives for thousands of years as a solid, monolithic Greek state. And tell me if you can even imagine this. Not only was the state itself Greek, not only was the architecture Greek and the culture in general, the society, virtually 100% of the citizens themselves were Greek, ethnically Greek. So, gasoline. And so now they're having trouble dealing with the migrant thing. But, Greece, we had trouble ourselves, didn't we? I'm an American. And I can remember a time, or at least I remember reading from my textbooks in the 90s and 2000s, about a time when we were very troubled by accepting different kinds of people. But we integrated them, They have not necessarily assimilated, but they have been integrated. And there is, on one hand, a lot of trouble with that, But our government has worked hard to make sure that there is mostly apathy about it, so that nobody really challenges the status quo. And well, that's good, because many people, they just cannot understand the benefit of having different kinds of people. And I don't mean to sound like look, I don't want to sound cliche, like I'm sure you've heard before, just like our great president before the current one said, diversity is our greatest strength. Tell me this, would you paint a picture with one color, with one shade? Would you? Okay, let's say one color in a bunch of shades. Well, yeah, I guess. What, are you gonna paint a forest? What are you gonna paint a snowscape? Okay, I guess forests and snowscapes are cool. Or what, are you gonna paint like an ocean? Yeah, okay, these things are cool, but you're missing my point, okay? It's just closed-minded, because what would look better than a grassy field is, I don't know, maybe a grassy field with some flowers. How about a grassy field with some birds in the sky, with a blue sky and green grass and pink and gold flowers, That's all I'm saying. Not to disparage my people, the French people, I'm just saying. But hey, look, so this has been a test run. We'll call it a test run. Hey, look, I'm on the go. We're on the go together, probably, huh? Where you going? I'm going home. I just got off of work. I had to go see my the person who does my taxes. I could never understand taxes. It's crazy to me. So I let a black lady do my taxes. I let her do them, and I lost my taxes. I lost my folder, and I went and I had to give her money so that I can get a copy of the paper. She's expensive, but, I feel good about it. Because she deserves, honestly, she frankly deserves more. And she's the kind of woman who, she knows she deserves it, And I think, a strong, black woman, I think that's really respectable for it's bad enough that she's black, but she's also a woman. So, life is really difficult for one of her kinds of people. And so to see that kind of strength and to have such high expectations, it's not necessarily reasonable, but boy, is it beautiful. So, this concludes the flyby episode of Master Race Frankenstein Radio. I am Austin Parfait Johnson. Thank you, friends and strangers, for joining me this evening. See you next time. Bon oui. Surprise! Hey, it's me, Austin Parfait Johnson. I'm back with the first episode of Master Race Frankenstein Radio. So I got home and I decided, let's keep going, let's keep going. I'm still doing this off my phone, Episode 2 will be much better recording quality, better editing. I'll have a guest, it'll be a better show, okay? But that doesn't mean that this needs to be nothing, I can put some more content in it. I've got ideas. So anyway, for the next segment, I call it the Reading Minutes, okay? We're going to just take a few minutes and do some reading. I like to read, and I think it's important that people read in general. Reading expands your vocabulary, okay? It expands your comprehension. I'm sorry, Salah. Okay. Oh, all right. Hey, what are you doing? Hey, be quiet. I'm trying to record a show. All right. So, okay. Do you want to get out? You want to get the fuck out of my office, huh, cat? Fucking idiot! Fucking up my show. I'm trying to talk about. Okay, look. I'm sorry about this. I'm sorry. I hate when this happens. Okay. All right. Anyway, it improves your comprehension in general, helps you think better. The more words you know, the more different kinds of ways you have of contemplating stuff. Of thinking, makes thinking easier, makes communicating easier. Sometimes it makes communicating harder, because a lot of people don't have very big vocabularies. And, and we'll pray for them. We'll pray for them, and we'll give them books. We'll give them books, and we'll hope they read them. Okay? Okay. Kitty cat. Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here, cat. It's time that you go. You're fucking up my show. Alright. So anyway, welcome to the Reading Minutes on Master Race Frankenstein Radio. So what I'm going to do is, I've got a library before me. I'm not at the library, I've got a library. Hopefully each and every one of you are fortunate enough to have a library. So I'm going to arbitrarily just pick a book off of here. I'm going to close my eyes, and I'm going to reach out here, and I'm going to touch a book. All right, what do I have here? Oh, timeless. All right, here we've got Polish Acts of Atrocity Against the German Minority in Poland. Let's see, German Library of Information, New York, 1940. All right, so let's just flip it open and see if there's any wisdom that we can glimpse out of here. Maybe learn some new words. Who knows what we'll take away from it. Let's see. When German troops entered Bromberg on Tuesday, a corporal accompanied me to our farmstead to see how things looked. A horrible sight met our eyes. The mob had taken my son-in-law from the couch and had dragged him into the kitchen. His remains lay under the kitchen table. His head was split, the skull cap was missing. Brains and blood were spattered on the kitchen wall. My son, Reinhard Gies, 19, had been in the cellar with us. When he saw that my son-in-law was being shot, he dashed out and jumped over the fence to our neighbor's plot. The Poles followed, caught my son, and shot him. In the evening, I managed to get the body into our laundry. Reinhard was shot through the chest. Another son of mine, Friedrich Gies, 25, was reported shot in the mass murder of the family with which he had hidden in Hopfengarten. Okay. Page 99 of Polish Acts of Atrocity Against the German Minority. Published 1940. Wow! Now that's crazy. See, 1940, that's before, the Big Bad War. That's very interesting. So, what have we learned from this? Well, this book, first of all, it's full of accounts of victims. It's full of pictures of heaps of bodies and newspaper clippings from the time reporting the acts of atrocity, purported, actually, it doesn't even necessarily say it was purported to be by Polish people, but in Poland. There were Polish acts, okay, in Poland. All right, so let's try to digest this. What do we know about Poland in 1940? Do we know that they were generally violent and aggressive toward the Germans? Well, sure, they might have had reason to be. Was there anyone else in Poland at the time who might have, had some reason to persecute Germans? Only the one thing that comes to mind is communists. And, as all the world knows, at least anybody in the world who takes history very seriously and means to know the truth, is that communists are generally Jews, especially in that time in Poland. So, let's see. Maybe the Germans righteously acted against Poland. I don't know. Maybe that invasion should have been met with sympathy and support. I don't know. All I know is I have this book, and I don't know. I feel like it might be an important one. All right, so I guess moving on. All right, so to close the show, and please mind, look, you have to listen to the next one. The next show, it's going to be way better. Man, remember, you and me, we started this together, and I had just gotten off of work, and I'm like, I had to go pick up the thing from my black tax girl, whatever. And we were just hanging out in my car, and it spilled over into the office when I got to my house, So, but hey, next week it's going to be better planned. It's going to be some good stuff. But I'm going to close the show now. And I call this Something Beautiful. That's what this segment is called. I call it Something Beautiful. Or maybe I'll call it A Beautiful Thing. I don't know. We're supposed to conclude all of the the varied kinds of emotions, the high ones, the low ones. Sometimes we were very upset when we talked about the Chinaman, and man, they're just dying left and right, and then sometimes we got really happy, and we were talking about how fabulously diverse our great nation is, and me especially, talking about, for David and Jamal and Salah, this beautiful family. Look, I'm getting distracted. I want to share a piece of poetry with you, okay? Poetry is one of my very favorite things in the world. To bend a language the way that you might bend a vine to create a wreath, or that you might use fire to bend steel, to make a claymore. The same way, I love to use a pen to bend language, to make beautiful stanzas and prose. So, I'm going to leave you with a poem. And in traditional Master Race Frankenstein radio fashion, I'm just going to close my eyes and tickle the bookshelf, and the first book to laugh gets read. All right, I found it. This is this one. Oh, that was cute. Wasn't that cute, people? Let's see. Alrighty, this is Ella Wheeler Wilcox, one of my very favorite poets. This poem is called Philosophy. At morn the wise man walked abroad, proud with the learning of great fools. He laughed and said, "There is no God, 'tis force creates, 'tis reason rules." Meek with the wisdom of great faith, at night he knelt while angels smiled, and wept and cried with anguished breath, "Jehovah God, save thou my child." Beautiful poem. Sad story, but a funny story in a different kind of way. The man, a fool, as all atheists are, and he laughed at God and doubted him right up until his child was dying, presumably in his arms. The skin pallid, so meek he could barely lift his head. Dying shortly, his breath barely left. All right, well, this has been a beautiful thing. Thank you, friends and strangers, for joining me today. I look forward to doing this with you again. God bless you and have a beautiful evening. Goodbye.